In the NFL, there are poverty franchises and the elite individuals that investigate them. These are their stories. This is Law and Order, Poverty Franchises Unit.
I regretted mentioning 9/11 in my message, and I immediately apologized to the team. Not only was 9/11 a horrific event in our country's history, but a day that I lost a good family friend. My intent in the meeting that day was to discuss the importance of communication and being on the same page with the team. My intent, 9/11.
I honestly, the inspiration for the video was draft night when the Bills traded with the Chiefs. Again, first time they did this a few years ago, the Chiefs got Patrick Mahomes directly from that trade with the Bills. And that has fucking scarred them. Patrick Mahomes owns the Buffalo Bills at this point. The Chiefs are 3-0 against the Bills in the playoffs since they got Patrick Mahomes. I remember during draft night, there was a lot of crazy shit that happened, but that to me was the most egregious because, bro, you're going to trade with the Chiefs again? A team that you claim is your rival. And you're going to trade with them and give them the player that they most covet? The fastest player to ever enter the NFL? On record as the fastest player to ever enter the NFL. You gave them Tyreek Hill 2.0. Or Deshaun Jackson 2.0. Still cannot wrap my head around the fact that the Bills are that incompetent. Why would you help your quote-unquote rival? The Chiefs and the Bills are going to play each other in the playoffs again. And I guarantee you, Xavier Worthy is going to make a play in that game. And the Bills are going to lose because of it. Xavier Worthy is going to make either a game-clinching, a back-breaking play, something of that nature in a playoff game against the Bills, and the Bills are going to lose because of it. And they have no one to blame but themselves. These GMs, honest to God, they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. You can get better draft capital from the Chiefs, but you're directly helping your rival. Why the fuck would you do that? They've been good the last probably 4 or 5 years, but they've never been to a Super Bowl. The Bills think they're Super Bowl contenders, and they're not. And the Chiefs are legit Super Bowl contenders. The Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls. The Chiefs are trying to win a 3rd straight Super Bowl this year. And they have a huge position of need at wide receiver, and you just you gift-wrapped the fastest receiver in this draft, Xavier Worthy, and you just gave them to the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, their offense struggled a lot last year because their receivers couldn't catch the ball. They had one reliable receiver, and that's Travis Kelce. But Travis Kelce is a tight end. So Travis Kelce, he works the middle of the field. He dominates over the middle of the field. But teams, they keyed in on Travis Kelce last year because they didn't respect anyone else to beat them. So now with Xavier Worthy, with his just pure speed, you have to respect Xavier Worthy, and you have to keep the safety over the top, which opens up the middle for Travis Kelce. So this is the perfect receiver for them. Because Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy, much like Tyreek Hill did in that role, they complement each other perfectly. Because you have to respect the deep ball. You have to keep a safety, back incredibly deep. And that opens up the middle of the field for Travis Kelce to dominate. You would think that the Bills would have learned their lesson from trading with the Chiefs. Because the last time the Bills traded with the Chiefs on draft night, the Bills had the 10th overall pick, and the Chiefs came way up. They were back in the 20s, and the Bills traded with the Chiefs. And with the 10th overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Patrick Mahomes. You'd think they would have learned their fucking lesson after Mahomes has been their daddy in the playoffs, going 3-0 against them. But they did not, as the Bills are incompetent. They are a poverty franchise. They are incompetent. It makes no sense. Why are you trading with your most heated rival? Why are you helping them get better when they already fucking own you? There are certain franchises, no matter how good you are, no matter how much talent you have on paper, I will never trust you. And the Bills are one of them. Because y'all are incompetent. You don't know what you're doing. And the worst part about that trade is all the picks that you acquired to give up the number 10 overall pick, all those players that you drafted with those picks are no longer on your roster. The Chiefs obviously still have Patrick Mahomes, but you have no more players from that trade on your roster. In case you don't believe me, let's go back in time about 30 years to the years 1991 to 1994. This is what you got the last time the Bills were trustworthy, with really good coaching, really good roster management, and a really loaded roster. This is what happened the last time the Bills were trustworthy. You might be asking yourself, what's so important about these specific years in the early 90s? Well, these are the years that the Buffalo Bills lost 4 straight Super Bowls. First of all, that will never, ever be done again in NFL history. There's no way a team is going to lose 4 straight Super Bowls ever. It blows my mind even to this day that the Bills lost 4 straight Super Bowls. It seems impossible. But the Bills have proven that anything is possible. Even the absolute worst, most dog shit outcomes, the Bills prove it's not only possible, it will happen. And first of all, in 1991, the Bills, they had 4 Hall of Famers in this core that went to the Super Bowl. They had quarterback Jim Kelly, running back Thurman Thomas, wide receiver Andre Reed, and defensive end outside linebacker Bruce Smith. All of them Hall of Famers. This core was insane. And they also had a Hall of Fame coach in Marv Levy. So they were loaded, and they still lost 4 straight Super Bowls. In 91, that is infamous as the wide right kick. The Bills lost 20-19 to the New York Giants, and Scott Norwood's kick was wide right as time expired. Then they go back the next year, and they lose to the Washington Redskins, now Commanders, but formerly Redskins, 37-24. And this game is infamous because one of the Bills coaches was talking shit about the Hogs and mocking the Hogs. The Hogs is the Redskins Hall of Fame offensive lineman, core group of guys, just absolute dogs up front. Big bubs. Even back then, bubs were very important. And the Bills coach was caught on tape mocking them. And the Redskins proceeded to beat their ass 37-24. Then the third year, they go back. This time they play the Dallas Cowboys. And they get their shit fucking rocked. They lose 52-17 to the Dallas Cowboys. And you're thinking to yourself, wow, 3 times must be a charm. Nope, absolutely not. They go back again for a 4th straight year to a 4th straight Super Bowl. And they lose to the Cowboys again. This time, 30-17. How? You lost 4 straight Super Bowls. It wasn't like these were dog shit teams. They ran the AFC back then. They dominated most teams in the AFC. And then they got to the Super Bowl and it was like a mental block. It was like their brains malfunctioned. They had Hall of Famers all over the place at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and pass rusher. And they also had a Hall of Fame head coach. And they still lost 4 straight Super Bowls. And I know a lot of you might be saying, well, the Bills are trustworthy now. They have Josh Allen. They have Sean McDermott, who shows impeccable leadership skills and knows exactly how to overcome adversity. We'll get to that later. They have a great roster. They have great coaches. Well, we at the TTT here believe that no matter how good the Buffalo Bills seem to be on paper, they are cursed. And this is exactly why we believe it. After that core of Hall of Famers from the 90s retired, the Bills kind of just wandered around in the NFL wilderness for basically 2 decades. They didn't make the playoffs for 18 consecutive years after those Super Bowl runs. And then they get this guy that we here at the TTT absolutely love. His name is Tyrod Taylor. Quarterback Tyrod Taylor. They get him, and he puts up incredible numbers. Really great numbers. And the Bills, they haven't had a franchise quarterback since Jim Kelly retired. Tyrod Taylor comes in, instantly becomes a franchise quarterback, takes them to the playoffs. He ends an 18-year playoff drought. And if you look deeply into it, more deeply into it, if you look at that receiving core consisted of Kelvin Benjamin, Malachi Dupree, Zay Jones, Brandon Riley, Brandon Tate, and Deontay Thompson. Their leading receiver with just over 600 yards receiving was Kelvin Benjamin. And this was after he was traded from the Panthers and after he had gotten fat as shit. And all those memes about Kelvin Benjamin came out. They also had tight end Charles Clay and Nick O'Leary. They also had Logan Thomas, who didn't really play that much, but, former Virginia Tech player Logan Thomas. So he drugged this corpse of a Bills offense. I mean, think about it. Jaguars fans, let me know how Zay Jones was for y'all last year. He was dog shit. These players were dog shit, and he leads them into the playoffs. You have Charles Clay at tight end, Kelvin Benjamin and Zay Jones and Malachi Dupree as your receivers. And you have an older LaShawn McCoy at running back. Tyrod Taylor absolutely drugged this team to the playoffs. And the following year, the Bills say, no, we're good. We think we can do better than Tyrod Taylor. You know what, Bills? You don't deserve good things. You did my boy so dirty. And you know what? You gave him one last fuck you on the way out. You sent him to another poverty-stricken, incompetent franchise. You didn't send him to a good team as a thank you for all your services. Oh, thank you for taking our incompetent dumbasses and dragging us to the playoffs for the first time in 18 years. No, we're going to say fuck you. We're going to send you to the Cleveland fucking Browns. You don't deserve good things, Bills Mafia. You don't deserve good things as a franchise. Because you had a franchise quarterback. And you thought, no, we're good. We're good. What has Josh Allen done for you? Your quote-unquote franchise quarterback after Tyrod Taylor. He gets owned by his daddy, Patrick Mahomes, in the playoffs. He's 0-3 against him. You still haven't been to a Super Bowl. So really, let's take a good, hard look at ourselves. Because, Bills, you are a problem. You are a poverty-stricken franchise. You finally had a great franchise quarterback, and you took his ass for granted. And what has it gotten you? You have nothing to show for it. Fucking nothing. And Tyrod Taylor absolutely deserves to be a starter in the NFL. But y'all couldn't see that. Couldn't fucking see it. And the whole league doesn't fucking see it, frankly. But you guys don't deserve it. You guys are cursed. And you guys deserve it. That is karma for doing my boy so damn dirty. And you even did him dirty when he was on your roster. You benched him for a rookie named Nathan Peterman. And all Nathan Peterman does is come in and throw 5 interceptions in the first half. Shit blew up in your face. And you still decided to get rid of him. You traded him to Cleveland. That's just wrong, man. Don't do my boy like that. So y'all don't deserve good things. Bills Mafia, the Bills organization as a whole, Y'all are cursed. I firmly believe it. We here at the TTT will never take y'all seriously as a real Super Bowl contender because you are still, no matter how many ways you try to facade it and disguise it, you are still a poverty franchise that makes poverty, inept decisions. Now, we can talk about the modern Buffalo Bills and their quote-unquote rivalry with the Kansas City Chiefs. Y'all have a self-proclaimed rivalry with the Chiefs. You said, oh, we're chasing Kansas City. We're trying to win a Super Bowl, and we have to go through Kansas City to do it. Y'all really aren't rivals at all. You're really just their bitch. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs own you. They have beaten you guys 3 different times in the playoffs. The playoffs is when it matters. That's when it is win or go home. And if you really think that you are on the level of the Kansas City Chiefs, you have to beat them in the playoffs. But you haven't. You haven't. Because, as I said, y'all are cursed. There is no rivalry. And now half your team is gutted. You lost Stephon Diggs. You lost Jordan Poyer. Von Miller is a shell of himself. You lost Gabe Davis. You still don't have a run game to speak of. Like, your team is way worse than it was. You missed your window. Your quote-unquote rivalry with the Chiefs, it was never a rivalry. And now it's officially dead. Because y'all are having to regroup and retool and, oh, we'll get back in a few years. Meanwhile, you just gave the Chiefs the fastest player ever recorded in the NFL. You just gave him to Patrick Mahomes. So yes, this rivalry is officially dead, even though it never existed to begin with.